going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC reality checking. You don't see my pretty sexy face, so you know I'm not alone. AEW, so you know who we dragged along with us. Guapo, say what's up.
That is right. It is Wednesday night, and you know what that means. We're talking about AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. I am Senor Guapo, and that's right. We are your AEW reality check on a Wednesday night. It's tired in here. Let's get this going.
We got tired, Guapo, and Spaz on way too many energy drinks. This can only go well. I do think, in all seriousness, we should put a GoFundMe together and get Alex Abrahantes to do an entrance for Guapo. I think it's only fair.
I'm okay with that.
Very, very quickly to...
we'll have to get his cameo.
That's the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of the name of the service. Before we get going, I just want to take a brief minute to address something not AEW related. You guys know Jake and I were going to do a video last week on just what's happened with the new NXT, etc., etc. And trust me, there's a lot to say about that. We didn't get around to it. Life's kind of kicking Jake in the butt again, so head up Countdown Ended on Twitter and on Instagram and show Jake some love. Remind him that we love him, and I'll have him back on here as soon as we can. Right now, Guapo will have to do.
Hey, I answered a call.
Yes. Yes, from Big Money Tony Phoenix. That didn't work at all. Grand Slam! Grand Slam!
Tony Khan, is that where you're going there, sir?
Yeah, Big Money Tony It works. Don't worry. Have a nap, wake up in the morning, listen to the podcast. It'll be fine. Before we get into the show, obviously we got to address Arthur Ashe Stadium in general. How fucking good did Arthur Ashe Stadium look?
20,000 people.
Was that the final count?
The count was at 20,100 and some change, I think.
Okay. No, I knew that the rough 20,000 number was going around. I didn't know how accurate it was or where the source on that was.
I don't feel like AEW embellishes as much as like WWE because they don't give just like we had 25,000 people here tonight.
Oh yeah, no. I wasn't trying to imply that they were embellishing their number. I just couldn't remember where I had heard, like what my source was, because, you know, Sweet TK does not have me on speed dial. He's not filling me in on all the
beginning
deets.
Of the show.
They did the and WWE has done this to various degrees of success.
I have the commentary says there are 20,177 fans in attendance.
Nice. The one difference that I will say, and it's just an aesthetic thing, but it does make a difference, the LED rampway. Now, that's not a new thing. WWE's done it a lot, especially at WrestleMania. Sometimes it looks great, sometimes it looks crap. It looked really good. Something about people like being slammed on an LED screen is a hell of a lot more effective than if you look at the WWE, like the way their rings are. When people get thrown into the side of the ring and it's LED, somehow, to me anyway, that just looks like you're bumping into something. Whereas when they went into description on commentary of how that floor is put together, way more effective, and immediately we saw an example of that in the first match. But just in general, the crowd, huge, obviously. This is now their biggest attendance, right?
Yes, this is the largest attendance for an AEW show now.
Okay. I like that they didn't, other than the rampway, they didn't change their setup too much.
Yeah, I mean, slight modification to like the entrances, but it was very minimal.
Yeah. Now, talking about the rampway, I will say, because my opinion hasn't changed on this, I don't like the rampway that's level with the ring. NXT did it. I didn't like it. I don't think WWE's ever done it. Impact did it for a little bit when they were doing the stuff with Ric Flair in the wheelchair, and I shouldn't talk about Ric Flair. I might get canceled. It's fine. I don't like it's awkward looking.
Yeah.
And it makes for some cool spots. Basically, people do the same spots that they would do in the ring on the outside. I understand that. You get some cool one-off moments as a ongoing thing. Not a fan, personally. But, like I say, the ramp itself looked great, so it balances out, I suppose.
Yes, I can agree with that.
I mean, we had a pretty decent opener. I mean, fucking BRYAN Danielson versus Kenny Omega, man. Like, what do you want to say about this match other than, like, hey, if you haven't seen it, go see it?
I mean, holy shit, what a fucking match. That's essentially all you can really say about it, because holy fuck, that match was great. Start to finish, I mean, the crowd was hot as soon as they announced that was going to be the opener.
Yep.
Bryan's music hit, and fuck, just the match is definitely going to be at least it's going to have to be a 5-star.
Of course, yeah.
At lowest.
Okay, I told you before we came on that I was going to do some nerdy, like, nitpicky type things, but in a positive way. One, the story that I like throughout this match, before we got to the end, whereas basically Kenny Omega's going to hit those knife-edge chops and make Daniel Bryan's chest look like freaking hamburger. And his response is going to be the yes kicks, even though we're not supposed to call them the yes kicks, apparently. So, like, this is my response to you hitting me with a chop. And then he just went ahead and started chopping him anyway. Like, I thought that was great. I want to give, because I give this guy a little bit of shtick sometimes, I want to give really big credit to Kenny Omega before the match even started. Because he did a lot of, not to sound cheesy, did a lot of acting with his face, and he looked pissed off. And it was this, I know that I'm in for a fight here, so much so that I can't even be cocky, so I'm going to sit here and be mad that I can't be cocky.
Right.
And I don't know how to verbalize it any better than that, but he put that off really well. Also, at the beginning, when they had the first stare down, you could see both of them trying to hold back that, hey man, this is pretty fucking cool. Like, right. Especially Kenny being the heel. Bryan can do it as the face. Bryan can do it as the guy that just got there and is getting the huge pop and whatever. I don't know what you want, like, about the match itself. I don't know what you say.
I mean, just the technicalities all throughout the entire match. Bryan was fucking amazing to watch the entire match. Omega, being the mega heel that he is right now, played off of Bryan extremely well.
Standing Poison Rana out of the One-Winged Angel attempt?
Yes.
Was very nice.
I know we've already stated the fucking Snapdragon onto the fucking
onto the
rampway was ridiculous.
It wasn't so much the Snapdragon, it was the fact that he took it and then he slid on his head.
Yeah. That, and then going into the fucking running start V-trigger. Holy shit.
I will say, and this is not Kenny Omega's fault, I think they misjudged the, what do you want to call it, like the slope of the rampway a little bit, because he did the run, and then right as he was getting to the ring, I think he had a little bit of a hop step. Now, obviously that's going to happen. He doesn't want to plow into Daniel Bryan legitimately. Not taking anything away from the guy, but it looked like he had a bit of an awkward moment. I'll allow him an awkward moment in a fucking amazing match.
Yeah, a little bit of an awkward moment, but however, I think part of it was also to where he could flip into the ring to avoid going like complete full contact against Bryan's neck.
That is also a very good point. The other one, and I mean, it added to the match, but it was sort of one of those please don't die at the same time when he went to give him the buckle bomb and he fell out of the ring.
Right.
I mean, eventually you get into a psychology story of Bryan working the arm, obviously Kenny Omega working the neck, and I don't agree. But I want to get your opinion on this, because I can sort of mirror this to WWE a little bit, because right now the story of WWE, Seth Rollins used the curb stomp on Edge, and we all know about Edge's neck and whatever. And we're playing it off like, oh my god, look what a heel he is. He used the curb stomp on Edge. And it's like, it's a legal wrestling move in a match, and that makes him a bad guy. Same thing here. And they didn't do it for long, because I think they caught themselves. But if you listen to the commentary, they started going into very quickly, Daniel Bryan's history with his neck and whatever. And, oh, look at him. He doesn't care a bit. Look at him going after the neck. It's like, yeah, it's the same as if you, like, missed a spear or something like that and, like, speared the post. Then, yes, your opponent is going to go after that shoulder for the rest of the match. I don't know how we've gotten into this place when they're trying to add too much drama to it almost, where the heel just being smart is bad. Right. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but I find that always a bit weird. Like, you're doing legal moves that are perfectly okay within the confines of a legal wrestling match, and you're being smart about it and attacking a weakness. If I'm going to break into a government facility, I'm going to look for the spot on the fence that has a hole in it so that I can walk through instead of climbing over. I don't know. Like I said, it was very brief, but I just think it's a storytelling misstep. And it's not, again, I have to say, it's not by the wrestlers. It's just a little bit of a misstep on the commentary for me. Going to a draw, I loved and hated, and that's exactly the reaction that they wanted from us.
I loved it. I thought it was extremely smart. You keep both men looking extremely strong, and also the fact that, okay, we don't have a payoff. The payoff is going to be a title match now.
And see, that's why I thought they were going to give Bryan the win because they made it a non-title, and then we move on later on. I thought they were even maybe going to do a side story where Hangman Page comes back and is sort of pissed at Daniel Bryan for like jumping the queue, because I think that could have been a cool story to get us there. I mean, I don't want to do the lazy default thing of, let's just make it a triple threat. But
I think if so, me and one of my other friends had made the comment, and I said, if anything, Bryan takes the title off of Kenny, and his first defense will be against, or first or second defense will be against a returning Hangman.
I don't know. I think they've got a problem with Hangman where everybody wants him to succeed, but every time he's about to succeed, there's somebody just a little bit more popular in the picture. And as much as people love Hangman Page, I don't think they're going to go for him over Bryan, so I think they'll be sort of stepping on each other's foot. Plus, he's got the weird sort of, like, he's going to come back and all his friends are fighting, and I think they're going to spend way too much time on that, which really bums me out, because the Dark Order are just sort of, like, fun. I don't want to see the guys that are supposed to be just fun, like, squabbling in the back. I think it's a waste of, like, everybody, and if they bring back Hangman Page, and he's dealing with that type of, like, really, really light mid-card story, I don't think you can do that and have him getting into an issue with Daniel Bryan at the same time. I don't think it matches up.
Right. Okay. I can agree with you there.
With the draw, I think it's great for all the like kayfabe. Oh my God, our hearts are in our throats. Who's gonna win? We didn't get a winner. Oh no, I gotta see this match again so that we can have a winner, right? At the same time, I think it was legitimately AEW putting together a match that they knew everybody wanted to see and knowing that nobody could lose.
Right.
So, as much as it works and serves a whole bunch of purposes going forward, it was also really the only thing they could do because they backed themselves into a corner. And that's not always a bad thing. Like, wrestling stories, especially when you try to tell, like, long, like, interloping stories, they're gonna be into corners sometimes. We get the Punk promo, which is very much rah-rah Punk. I haven't been in New York in a while. And then he went on and did pro wrestling hasn't been in New York for years. And I'm like, okay, he's doing the shtick. It's still funny, but it's gonna go thin.
I mean, yeah, but
like, I get when he said, well, you know, when I left ROH, I left wrestling, and now that I'm in AEW, I'm back. Okay, your time in WWE wasn't great. It didn't, end well for you, whatever. It
did not end the way that it really should have.
Right. But there are people in that same location that, for better or worse, whether you like it or not, also agree with. So eventually, you are going to be, like, alienating the crossover fans. I'm not sticking up for WWE here. Like, this is not what I'm doing. WWE's pretty fucking shit right now.
I think part of it was also just a little jab at the fact that WWE has not made it to a show in New York yet since they started touring again.
I mean, that's fair enough. I think they're remedying that, like, in a couple of weeks. And as I say, this is not me waving the flag for WWE. I just think, as an AEW fan, watching the AEW show, the jabs are getting old.
I enjoy the jabs, but
some people are good at them. Jericho's pretty good. Punk is
Jericho's probably the best at it.
Jericho's the best at it because I don't think he actually hates WWE. That's the other part with Punk, is we know that Punk, like, actually, like, hate. Like, I could see Jericho at least going back for, like, a guest spot or a Hall of Fame induction or something at some point. Punk ain't touching that.
I can see Jericho going back for a Hall of Fame induction and then no showing the Hall of Fame.
That's terrible.
He's said it before in one of his podcasts that he would love to pull a Guns N' Roses and no show the Hall of Fame.
That's because if you get people, I get what he's going for. I do. But if you get people that bought their tickets to the Hall of Fame to see Chris Jericho go in, I don't think you're getting a dig in at the company at that point. You're fucking the fans at that point. I'm sorry. Like, I mean,
obviously, if they're going to make him the main draw for it, I don't think he would no show it. But
I mean, do you think that at this point in his career, do you think you put Jericho in the Hall of Fame and have him not be the main guy going in?
Oh, absolutely not. However,
like, I don't. But, like, and it's not even a matter of, like, how great he is. It's like how many other Hall of Famers are. Like, you're not going to put him in the same year as Cena. You're not going to put him in the same year as The Rock. You're not going to put him in the same year as those type of people, because it's a different type of induction. Because Jericho, both before and after WWE, did the whole journeyman thing, like, to a bunch of different places. He's a different kind of star. I think if you put him in and don't make him the main thing, you're going to get backlash from everybody. And that's me saying, like, hey, WWE, don't be dumb. But WWE's pretty fucking dumb. We got Rainbow Fireworks NXT. I don't want to talk about it. Capped off the promo, obviously talking about Team Taz in general, but specifically Hobbs in his match on Friday. I don't know what this match is going to look like, if I'm going to lie. I'm not looking forward to them. I'm looking forward to him having more interaction with Team Taz, more than I'm looking forward to this actual match.
I can agree with that.
The interesting thing about this is when they showed the fight graphic for this later on, when they were saying, hey, this is everything that's coming up on Friday, Raw, and it showed that, like, Hook was going to be in Hobbs's corner, and the picture that they used for Hook is, like, Hook actually in ring gear, which I don't think we've seen yet because he hasn't had a match, which is hilarious. I don't really have anything. Like, Punk came out and positively kissed ass to New York, got his little ticket into WWE, plugged his match for thing, put over Omega and Bryan, basically saying, like, I'm glad I don't have a match on Dynamite, because how the hell would I follow that?
How does anybody follow that, yeah.
Which really, really was a bad setup for MJF versus Pillman, which...
No, I think putting the Punk promo there was a good idea, just because you let the crowd chill for a second.
Yeah, but you also got the crowd thinking about what is going to follow Omega versus the... And I'm going to hand the reins over to you, because I didn't care about this match. Other than MJF is more of a character than a wrestler, I would say, most of the time. This is the first time in a long time that I would say this is a match where MJF was flexing his wrestling muscle as much as he was flexing his character muscle. Other than that, this didn't do much for me. I know you like Brian Pillman. I'm going to let you have the floor.
I mean, the man with the sweetest mullet in the business right now, Brian Pillman Jr., just like his father. But, I mean, the match itself was good. It was definitely very good technical wrestling on behalf of Pillman and MJF. He got to flex that he's actually a good wrestler in a ring. Besides really that, I mean, like, the storyline for it hasn't been amazing for me. I mean, I really didn't enjoy the whole your father's in hell type thing.
Yeah.
But if this is going to be the end of this segment, which I doubt it, because I don't know, I feel like they're going to do something else still with it.
The thing is, like, you mentioned the story, and sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
You said, like, there's not much of a story here. Like, I don't think they did a story. I think instead of making a story, they just went, you've got a dad, he just had a dark side of the ring, everybody's talking about him, we'll just do that. So I don't think that they told a bad story. I think they went one step farther and told like no story. They just took something that was happening on a completely different show and like plastered it.
Yes and no. Part of it was I think they needed somebody who was good enough, but wasn't going to be more. How do I put this? I don't want to say more over, but who wasn't going to get to the level of needing to be like overly pushed to where the point where he would have to beat MJF. MJF really needed somebody to come off of Jericho,
right,
to pull away from that heat and build more heat to do something else. Me and one of my other friends had said earlier, with the amount of heat he has, God, he needs a fucking title reign with something. Whether that be the TNT title, or he jumps ships, goes to TNA, takes the X Division or a different title. He needs some gold around his waist.
I wouldn't mind, like, I hadn't thought of the Impact thing for MJF, I'm not going to lie. If he transferred over and was a challenge, like, I should say, I saw the Impact pay-per-view last weekend. It wasn't too shabby. And we ended off with the announcement that we're getting Josh Alexander versus Christian Cage at Bound for Glory, which I am all the way in for. Josh Alexander, also the Destiny champion. Check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list. It's fine. When Alexander takes that title, because I think he's going to, I think Alexander beating the ever-loving shit out of MJF on an Impact pay-per-view would be money.
Oh, it would be great.
But I will say as well, because we got the announcement after what happened with Fuego, whatever on
Fuego del Sol.
It's fine. I'm Canadian. With Sammy challenging Miro and us getting the answer here tonight, and the fact that he's going to be getting the shot at the TNT title, I think maybe not next week, but eventually you strap up Sammy Guevara with the TNT title. He revisits his own issues with MJF through that title. You can bring in a little bit of the history with, Jericho being his mentor and MJF tried to fuck with Jericho so much, but MJF and Sammy Guevara had some good matches as well, and had some good interactions in those big brawls. Remember Sammy Guevara in Blood and Guts was like the big featured star. He was the one that got the win for the Inner Circle.
I mean, before the whole Pinnacle versus Inner Circle thing was happening, Jericho did tag with, or before the whole Jericho MJF stuff like first started, it was Jericho and Sammy tagging together as Le Sex God.
Yes. So I mean, I'm not saying that I want them to necessarily take the title off of Miro, but eventually that title's going to Sammy, and when that title goes to Sammy, his first opponent should be MJF.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But now that you put it in my head, the idea of MJF going to Impact, because MJF is the one guy that could go from Arthur Ashe Stadium to the little tiny studio where Impact is still taping their stuff and be like, where's the rest of the building? Where's the rest of the audience? What am I doing here? Like, do that kind of thing. I think that would be great. Now that you've put that in my head, I'm going to be pissed off when it doesn't happen.
You're welcome.
Speaking of the Inner Circle, though, we got a quick interview in the back with Jericho and Hager, basically doing Jericho and Hager stuff, which is basically Jericho stuff with Hager standing there talking about their match against the Men of the Year on Friday, which I think is going a little under the radar as far as matches to look forward to on Friday, I'm not going to lie. They take a lot of shots at Dan Lambert, and they call him like a fat puffer fish ass face something or other. Hager challenges him to bring all his American Top Team people, which I could not give a shit about. Please don't do that. The match should be fun enough. I like Ethan Page. Scorpio Sky is not nearly where he should be. Hager's a monster, and Jericho is fucking Jericho. Yes. What do you want me to say about that match? It's going to be fun. It's not going to be the main event. It's going to fill the spot that it needs to fill. And how's this for a transition? Speaking of just filling a spot that it needs to fill, Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes.
Oh, Lord.
Or should I say Malachi Black versus Evil Knievel with a shitty neck tattoo?
No. 100% a shittier version of Homelander from The Boys.
Now, I will say, positive things first. Black's entrance looked amazing.
God, amazing.
In that thing. The switching to the red light is one minor little nitpicky detail, but it made so much difference. Looks really, really cool. I still think it's kind of weird, like, seeing him take off, like, the big skull face mask thing and all the robes that he's in, and then seeing him in, like, fight shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a little bit of a disconnect there that I just find funny. And, I mean, Cody's got all the grandioseness of, hey, I'm the boss, I'm going to have a cool entrance. I'm going to say to you what I said on Facebook. Who's the face in this match?
Technically it was Cody, however, Malachi definitely looked like the face, even though he's a monster fucking heel.
Match starts off with Cody's wife cross-legged in the ring against Malachi Black as the distraction to start the match. I cannot buy... And just that combined with a lot of the style of the match and the style that Cody wrestled in. Let it be said, before I say anything else, I am not saying by any stretch of the imagination that Cody is anything but a great wrestler. Not saying
Cody's
that.
a great wrestler.
But you can tell when somebody's turning it on in one direction or the other. He fought like a heel all match.
Yeah.
He got his woman in there at some points. He had his mentor there that managed to fall off the apron twice.
First time via accident, second time on purpose, but yeah.
I swear to God, I'm so surprised that when he saw him fall off the apron, he didn't, like, yell out, like, something like, "Not yet!"
God.
Remember the way back in the day when Vicky Guerrero was supposed to run in on an Eddie match and she didn't get her cue? And Eddie's like, "Where the fuck is Vicky?" And I thought Cody was going to have his own "Where the fuck is Vicky" moment because Arn fell off the thing too soon. And then Arn told him off, like, "Why the hell are you worrying about me? Go, like, fight the match." And then Aleister Black did the mist for reasons.
He pulled it to Jerry.
Now, okay, I will say, other than Aleister Black, name me some people that have done mists.
Jericho.
Really?
Yeah, Jericho did miss for the I think it was the MJF one of the matches. Maybe it was Wardlow?
You're totally going to mess up my point. Now I can't make my point. Thanks.
But Tajiri.
I was going to say Tajiri, the Great Muta, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, is Aleister Black doing a spitting mist thing? Is that cultural appropriation? But you ruined my joke, you bastard.
You're welcome.
No. I mean, I will say the I don't know what you would call it, and it was really awkward because they had to do it over the ring level ramp thing. Basically, Aleister Black ran across the ramp at one point and basically gave him what I would call a Superman knee strike that I thought looked amazing. And it was one of the best shots of the match, and I don't think anybody even talked about it after it happened. Black gets the win, which is the one surprise out of this whole thing, because this has... And again, not trying to be disrespectful, Brody Lee, we all miss him, etc., etc., etc. This mirrored exactly the Brody Lee thing. Brody Lee came in, destroyed Cody Rhodes so that Cody Rhodes could go do the Go Big show, came back, Cody got his win back, and we all carried on. I think a lot of people thought that the same thing was going to happen here. So I'll give them the credit that they didn't do that. The end of this match was a bit of a mess. I would really like to know concretely who the heel and babyface were, but as a whole, as a match, other than Arn falling down because reasons, not a horrible match, just a lot of little things that didn't line up for me. And then, as I say, like to me personally, the end of the match was a mess, but at least we got the right result. I would really like to know what they do with Aleister Black now. They got to give him a different direction.
Yeah, I think they stay with the Cody storyline for the moment.
Okay.
After though, it's hard to say. Unless we get a new monster that he joins forces with that comes in, I don't know.
The Fiend?
I mean, whatever he's going to be called, but yes.
See, and here's my thing again, and I'm going to scream it into the wilderness until it actually happens. I don't want Bray Wyatt in AEW, and that's not an AEW dig. I want Bray Wyatt in Impact. They do the way more creative, like, and I'm not saying, sorry, I'm saying that the wrong way. They do more outside the box, like Elseworlds creative stuff than AEW does. And I think for Bray Wyatt's or Wyndham Rotunda's strengths in that regard, I think he could flourish. I think he could be an Impact guy and show up and like be part of the crossover, absolutely. But I think establish him as an Impact guy and then have him be somebody that sort of floats. Good Brothers are a great example of that because they're still Impact guy. I think we've had this discussion already. Are they still under Impact contract or are they with AEW now?
I think they're with the AEW, however, because they're still Impact tag champs, right?
Yes.
I think because of that, they're doing more Impact dates stuff.
Okay. But at one point, they were signed with Impact.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute they showed up on AEW, they felt like they were AEW guys, even when they weren't. It felt like they felt like true floating wrestlers. Establish Bray Wyatt or whatever he's going to be called now on Impact as an Impact guy, and then make him a floater.
Right.
Do it in some kind of way that Tony Khan's going to like, because we know Tony Khan didn't like the Matt Hardy teleporting stuff. So you'd have to maybe tweak it, or maybe you would have to bring people from AEW to Impact and not the other way around. But, I mean, the open door stuff, the way that's going at this point, I'm pretty sure everybody could come to a solution that I think would benefit everybody and not step on anybody's toes at the same time. Now, what I will say about Black, sorry, it's tired in here. It's inevitable that eventually, just for the look of it alone, they're going to do Malachi Black versus Darby Allin at some point.
Right.
I don't want them to rush to that. I want Darby to go on a run, and because he's been doing a lot of tag stuff with Sting and whatever, and he had the big thing with Punk, which is huge for him and all that kind of thing. I want him to go on a bit more of a run, do a couple more cool, independent career things. Malachi Black's a lot newer to the company. Let him go on have a couple more feuds, like a couple Cody level feuds, and then have them meet 6 months to a year at the earliest. As much as I want to see it, I want to wait and then get excited when it happens. Because it's so obvious, I don't want it right away.
Right.
I kind of want the opposite of what they did with Bryan and Kenny. Bryan showed up in AEW, and they're like, oh, cool, one day he's going to fight Kenny Omega. Yeah, that day is next week. I kind of want and that, again, it sounds like I'm being an asshole. Match was great. I'm glad they did it. Daniel Bryan might have limited time in his career. We don't know. Get the matches you want out of him. Get the matches that he wants. Darby Allin and Malachi Black don't have that same sort of thing floating over their head. You can afford to be patient with that feud. And save it for a pay-per-view. Just saying.
Yes.
Have it be a coffin drop match. I don't know. Speaking of Sting and Darby Allin and FTR, they had a match. I don't know. Darby's got a t-shirt that says I love coffin drops. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about the match, because I'm going to talk about everything that I loved, because everything that I loved happened before the match. I hand it back over to you.
I mean, this match was great. I mean, Sting looks like $1 million still. This goes to show you, kids, when you don't do drugs or don't abuse drugs your entire life, you too can be a 50-something or 60? 60. I think I want to say 60. 60. Fuck, now I gotta look it up. Sting. Doing this live,
Everybody
people.
stare quietly while Guapo Googles stuff.
Nope, that's wrong Sting. I don't want Sting musician.
Oh no.
A 62-year-old man can still go in the ring at his capacity. This is what goes to show you when you don't abuse drugs in WCW and TNA. Jeff Hardy. You can go places to AEW. God damn, I'm sorry.
Hey man, be nice to Jeff Hardy. He's going to be the 24/7 champion soon. God, why does WWE suck balls?
And Jeff's just like, hello, darkness, my old friend. I can't wait to be with my brother again.
Hey, they gave him no more words back. That's something.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway,
I don't know. I popped for it the first time, and then I'm like, okay, cool. He's got his music back now. Let him fucking do something.
Right? I don't know. It's this match was great. I mean, FTR was great heels the entire time. Stinger and Darby played up the baby faces, and just we got to see Sting wrestle on live television.
I think they're doing some wicked wrestling black magic with Sting, because Sting you notice Sting doesn't have a whole lot of matches on his own,
right?
Because Sting does not wrestle at the pace of AEW. He just doesn't, and that's as respectful as I can be. But he comes in there and he does the nostalgia stuff, and he's partnered up with Darby, who more than makes up for it, so everything still clicks along, and I think that's great. Now, do I want Darby to be stuck like that forever? No, which leads to the previous conversation we just had. But I want to take my hat off to some really cool storytelling and some other real cool storytelling that I don't think was intentional, but I'm giving credit anyway because I like it. Not Cody, I'm looking at the wrong part of my notes. Sting and Darby came out, and both of them had their face paint smudged, right? Like, it wasn't applied properly, if you want to say that. It was all smudged, it was all messed up, it was all faded. On the very, very simple level, that's a shout out to last week where the Pinnacle, because I think they had Sean Spears with them as well, they did the whole, like, wiping off of the paint, like, stripping the face, stripping the mask, if you're talking about it in luchador terms, and they sort of kept it that way to keep themselves pissed off, and that's a wonderful, wonderful story. Not the story that I choose to believe, though.
Right.
Because FTR came out, and I was about to make fun of them for ripping off New Day, because New Day are also doing the New World Order style right now. They've been doing it for the past little while. But then they said on commentary, hey, look at FTR paying tribute to a very, very different part of Sting's career, because Sting spent a great part of his career battling the NWO. I'm like, okay, that's great. I immediately take back my snarky comment, right? But then I saw Sting, and I didn't remember about the smearing of the face paint from last week. What I remembered is Joker Sting from TNA, where it was all smudged and not done properly and whatever, and I thought, from a mind game perspective, okay, if you're gonna, throw in my face a different part of my career, I'm gonna do up my face with an entirely different part of my career. Because there was no the guys that were in the NWO ended up in TNA, but the NWO itself was never in TNA. So it's like, okay, I'll just dress up as a version of Sting that never had to deal with the NWO and go fuck yourself. To me, that's a much more fun story, but I don't think that's what they were doing. Because he had the little bit of red in there, right? Under the one eye. And normally, when he comes out on AEW, he's just got the traditional sort of crow, black and white WCW Sting paint, which is awesome. Right. So the inclusion of the little bit of the red made me think of the Joker Sting. The smearing of the paint all over before the match even started made me think of the Joker Sting. And if it's a whole, like, you can't bug me with that part of my career because I'm just going to represent this part of my career, if that's the story they're telling, I'm going to feel like a fucking genius, and I'm going to be very happy. I don't think that's the story they're telling. It's the story I'm telling in my head, because it's very tired in here, and I feel like telling a story. Guapo, stop me from talking.
It's very hard. Yes, Joker Sting.
Yay!
I'm sorry. I'm trying. I went on Twitter like an idiot, and apparently, Rampage is like filming right now.
Okay, don't tell me anything.
I just got one thing spoiled for me. I put the Twitter machine off.
All right. You know what? That's gonna happen. Like,
which is fine. I mean, okay. The match that it is curtain jerking, which is great. However, the winner who I thought was gonna win is winning, so it's fine.
Okay. Let's talk about the main event of the show that we actually just watched.
That is right, the main event of tonight of AEW's Dynamite. We have the AEW Women's Championship match on the line with challenger Ruby Soho and the reigning, undisputed Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Now, I could be a smartass and say who's the heel in this match because the crowd loves both of them, but I'm not going to. I will say, I'm going to be realistic here.
I'm sorry, but I did have somebody mention, like, so is Britt losing some of her pop? But, like, no, she's not.
Yeah.
You just have someone as equal or just about there with you on excitement for this person.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
I have to start off with this being realistic as well as excited, right? This was not a mind-blowing 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome match. This was 2 good wrestlers having a good wrestling match who happened to be great stars.
Yes.
And that's what it needed to be. You had your okay, I hate to put it in these terms. You had your wrestling for wrestling's sake match to start the show. Right. This was more, as I say, very good wrestlers doing a very good match, yes, elevated by the fact that they are great stars. I could have done with, obviously, Rebel and Jamie Hayter being left in the back, which I only say because in the first match, the only person in Omega's corner being Don Callis added to the match. And I think the characters of Britt Baker and Ruby Soho work so well as a contrast that having extra bodies in this match kind of hurt it a little bit because it was distracting at some points.
I can agree with that.
But holy fuck. First of all, Ruby Soho don't give a single fuck.
Yes, no fucks are given by Ruby.
Second of all, we saw the same thing here with Britt Baker that we saw with Thunder Rosa, where the character kind of slips a little bit, and you see somebody that's actually in there willing to scrap, which I really like. Because they don't do this very well in WWE, along with a long laundry list of other things that they don't do well in WWE. You can have a heel that still stands on their own 2 feet and can beat the shit out of you.
Yes.
Not every heel has to be a cowardly heel, etc., 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 right? You could have had Britt Baker in there wrecking Ruby Soho. As much as I like Ruby Soho, as much as I want to see her go to the moon.
To the moon.
You can
like Dogecoin.
I was going to say more like Cameron Grimes, but anyways.
Oh,
but like...
No, not Cameron Grimes.
But you can have her go in there and just wreck the babyface on her own terms and get booed because the person she's wrecking is this babyface that we're all happy to see. Actually, you know what I just thought of? 2 of the biggest, of the big new names that they've got in the past little while, like you talk about, your Adam Coles, your Daniel Bryans, your Ruby Sohos, etc., etc. Neither one of the ones that had a match tonight won.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising. Daniel Bryan he didn't lose, but lost by virtue of the fact that he didn't win. And Ruby Soho lost her title defense, her title opportunity, which also kind of rubs the what do you call it? Casino Battle Royal gimmick the wrong way a little bit. Just a little bit. Because it was made for a star like Ruby Soho, and I don't think Britt Baker at this point was a star without the belt. She could have gone on being a star without the belt again. I do think, with a crowd this hot, with a show that was built up to be this big, ending the match in a schmoz wasn't the greatest. If you were going to have Baker go over, let her go over and smoke her, I could have dealt with that, but it was just sort of... It left it a little bit limp at the end. Didn't affect my enjoyment of the match. I would probably go back and watch this match again, only because, a lot like Daniel Bryan, like, we're getting a chance to see these wrestlers with the handcuffs off.
Yes.
I mean, that's something I totally glossed over in the first match. Daniel Bryan doesn't give a single fuck. I mean, I'm sure he does, but he's going at it with the mentality of somebody who doesn't give a fuck. Ruby Soho is the same way.
Bree is definitely pissed off at him in the back.
At who in the back?
At Daniel. Or Bryan.
Oh, Bree. I thought you said Britt. I was like, why is Britt Baker
Bree.
mad at Daniel Bryan?
No, Bree. His wife.
See, there's got to be a support system set up, and it's going to be, like, Brie Bella and Renee Young and... Renee Paquette, sorry.
Paquette, yes.
Actually, I should know that, because she was Renee Paquette in my mind before she was Renee Young, because I used to watch her on Sportsnet, on the Aftermath show.
Even though she did recently tweet, or she commented on something saying that she may be going to AEW, essentially hinting that she may be doing something with AEW sometime soon.
She might be taking Max Caster up on those oral sessions.
Oh God.
Let's talk about more people getting canceled. But hey, don't worry. On NXT, they have an SJW character now who refers to the ring as his safe space and says, "Don't worry, I'm not going to use my male privilege." Kill me.
Yep, that's more of a reason not to watch NXT now.
Guapo, kill me.
I'm just happy I'm not what you call it, reviewing NXT ever anymore.
Look what they've done to my boy.
They've massacred my boy.
Massacred him with, like, paintball guns. I don't know, man. I gotta take my hats off to AEW. This was a hell of a show.
When Paul goes into a hospital.
I think this is what put him in the hospital, and I'm only gonna make that joke once. In all seriousness, we obviously hope, outside of the wrestling sphere, we hope Paul Levesque is recovering in his hospital bed, because nobody wants to see that shit. Oh! I don't know whether you want to talk about this or not. The fact that AEW is working with Martha Hart, and they're going to do the Owen Hart Cup.
That's right. AEW can work with the widow of Owen Hart. WWE cannot.
Because that's not a jab at all.
No,
anyways, I think it's great. I'm an Owen Hart fan, so my snarkiness aside, I would love to see what the Owen Hart Cup is going to look like. Apparently, they're literally going to call the trophy itself the Owen, which I think is really cool.
There's only one person who can win it.
Jungle Boy.
Well, besides, like, there's one person who... Okay, so when are they doing the cup?
Oh, I don't know. It's just been announced. I've only heard, like, little bits and pieces.
Okay, I say they save it for the beginning of the next year.
Okay. Who are you
because
thinking?
There's only one person who should win it. A Mr. Kevin Steen.
Maybe?
And then, of course, he's going to have to fight somebody. They're going to pull him out of an orphanage in Mexico for the main event.
God.
El Generico. That's right.
No,
everyone.
I told you, they're going to do like a half and half like they did with Malachi Black, and he's going to be Sammy Generic.
No. Generico. Full Generico.
Sammy Generic.
Steen, once he's released, he's going to drive down to Mexico, bust down that door of that orphanage that El Generico's been working at, and drag him back to the States.
I could see it. I could see Steen beats Sammy Generic in the semifinals, goes to the finals, and puts over Jungle Boy.
I'm okay with that.
Everybody that I've heard talking about the cup and talking about who should win has either said Jungle Boy flat out, or like, oh, it has to be like this person, or this person. It's been in like their top three. Because most people, if you name off like three, it's the same three. It's like Darby, Sammy, or Jungle Boy. But I'm like, nah.
It needs to be a, I don't want to say a non-WWE guy, but a AEW bred person.
Okay, then that knocks Sammy Generic and Kevin Steiner out of the way.
False. They are not WWE products, Kevin Steen and El Generico, are independent ROH wrestling product.
They didn't exist before WWE created them in a lab called NXT. Anyways, now that people are going to yell at me about that,
Sir, I need you to watch Ladder Wars 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, why? So I can see the small package pile driver?
Damn right! And we'll see it again in AEW.
You swept right over the joke there. That's fine. Tell them where to find you, Guapo.
No, I got the joke. Kristen, I swear we'll see that small package pile driver again. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at Guapo_504. I don't really tweet, but if I get more followers, I might start.
He doesn't even tweet out the episodes that he's in. I speak from personal experience. Anyways, and you guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. He's been Guapo. We are obviously your AEW reality check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, me and Senor Guapo are tagging out. Bye, guys.
Adios, mis amigos.